Welcome to the show, everybody. Thanks so much for being with us. This is the Paul Harrell Program. We got a great show for you. Obviously, I don't know if you saw the thumbnail, but there's this news about a Georgia bunker that the Secretary of State there in Georgia that we're all so fond of. We trust him so much, Brad Ratzenberger, or however you say his last name. New revelations that there's this secret election bunker that election workers are not allowed to access. There's been a lawsuit filed. We have that story for you, and we're going to talk about it today. But something just happened that I think is going to kind of cancel out the first topic of the show, and that is Donald Trump has endorsed Ken Paxton over John Cornyn, the incumbent, and it has sent shockwaves into the D.C. establishment, in particular John Thune. Not a huge fan. Also, I just was told by Eric Haynes, who's in seat number 3 today, that this morning, coincidentally, Karl Rove, of all people, was on, was it Fox News, talking about how terrible Ken Paxton is. And now you're going to see people start saying that now James Tallarico has a chance. We're going to go on record here and say, this is Texas we're talking about. We've been here before with Beto O'Rourke. Come on. James Tallarico does not have a chance. If anything, this is going to increase the turnout in the election coming November, because it's going to give a big part of the MAGA base a reason to turn out and vote, whereas John Cornyn is not very exciting. We're going to talk about this and more today on the show. Thanks so much for watching. It starts right now.
Paul Harrell Program.
All right, here we go. Broadcasting live. We're live from the great state of Arkansas here on LFA TV, as well as the Paul Harrell Program YouTube page. We would encourage you to go over to the Paul Harrell Program YouTube page and like it. Also on LFA TV here on Rumble, make sure you like and subscribe to that channel as well. Like the video. Eric Haynes, my friend, is with us in studio. Eric, how are you this afternoon?
So great to be part of the conversation, Paul. Good to see you, brother.
Yes, sir. It's always great to have you, and we're going to get into it. Where were you? I mean, this is kind of it's an interesting day because we have the primaries. There's primaries all over the country, not just in Kentucky. So obviously tomorrow we'll be covering the fallout from the Ed Gallerin, Thomas Massie primary in Kentucky for. By the way, are you a Star Trek Next Generation fan? I just realized...
No, I'm original Star Trek.
Okay, well, I mean, I am too, but I just realized there's a whole arc of Galron. There's a Galron arc, in a Cleon arc in the Next Generation series, and I just realized today, saying Galrin, Ed Galrin, I mean, it just makes me, I don't know, I'm a nerd, and it's a fun last name to say because it keeps reminding me of the Next Generation series and that whole Galron arc. But anyway,
I've been hearing Gallerine and Galleron today.
Yeah, well,
in different
yesterday,
outlets. Everybody was saying Gallerine.
Yeah, yesterday we spent a lot of time on it. Going back and forth.
Yeah, I heard that.
But it was interesting. I couldn't remember. I've paid so little attention to the name. To the race.
You could tell it was bothering you.
Yeah, it was. I didn't even know how to pronounce the name. Like that's how little attention we paid. But we did devote a big chunk of the show yesterday with Rob and I kind of going back and forth on that.
Sure.
And that was fun. So it is an interesting day though because Trump obviously has endorsed Gallerin and Massie and there's a lot of people that are like, hey, I don't know about that. And then there's a lot of people that are like, yes, Massie's got to go. But in here, when it comes to this Texas primary, I don't think there is no divide in this endorsement. Now, there may have been had he endorsed Cornyn, but there is no divide among the base about the fact that John Cornyn has got to go, and Ken Paxton is obviously the guy. So it's an interest, and maybe that's why Donald Trump did it. I mean, in a way, it's a way to unify. On this issue, on Texas, it's going to unify the America First MAGA base in Texas. I mean, I think it's an arguable point, but I think it is clearly going to do that. All right, so let's dive into it right here. Let's get to the actual endorsement. Here's Ken Paxton's reaction, which is that he's incredibly humbled. I'm incredibly honored, he says, to have President Trump's complete and total endorsement. No one has ever fought harder for the American people than President Trump, and I look forward to championing his America First agenda in the Senate. Texas, get out the vote. Here's what President Trump said. He says, the highly respected, it's just so interesting. It's just, it's so nice.
Trump being Trump.
So, yeah, it's so night and day. It's like, if you get attacked, it's immediately,
We sent over bombs. They were fantastic bombs. They flew over the sky.
Right.
They flew perfectly,
right
in a straight line pattern. It was awesome. They hit their targets perfectly within 1 inch. Probably the greatest bombs ever thrown. It was amazing. It's like that.
Or the stupidest congressman ever to live.
Greatest endorsement I could ever make. Everybody that I do endorse does really well. It's so good to have these endorsements. Or, like you said, he's a dog. He smells like a dog. His mom was a dog.
There are names for female dogs. I want to be polite though.
Yeah.
So the highly respected Attorney General Ken Paxton, an America First patriot, and someone who has always been extremely loyal to me and our amazing MAGA movement, is running for the United States Senate to represent a place I love and won big 3 times with 6.4 million votes in 2024, the most votes in history of the state by far. I know Ken well and have seen him tested at the highest and most difficult levels, and he is a winner. Ken is a strong supporter of terminating the filibuster and, very importantly, the Save America Act, something which polls at 87%, including Democrats. And yet can't seem to get approved. Perhaps Ken can help move these important elements of government forward, because with the filibuster, as an example, the Democrats will terminate it on their first day in office, giving us 2 extra states, D.C. and Puerto Rico, and a greatly enlarged Supreme Court of the United States, probably going with their dream number of 21 justices from the 9 that we currently have. And these new justices will be radical left lunatics. 2 years ago, our country was dead. Now we have the hottest country anywhere in the world, and I want to keep it that way. Ken Paxton will help me do that, making America bigger, better, and stronger than ever before. Ken is a true MAGA warrior who has always delivered for Texas and will continue to do so in the United States Senate. He will tirelessly fight to continue the great growth of our economy, cut taxes and regulations. I just delivered the largest tax cut and regulation cuts in American history, and advance Made in the USA, unleash American energy dominance, champion Texas oil and gas, advocate for our amazing farmers and ranchers, promote school choice, keep our border secure, stop migrant crime, support our incredible military veterans, safeguard our elections, and protect our always under siege Second Amendment. John Cornyn is a good man, and I've worked well with him, but he was not supportive of me when times were tough, and despite having the most successful economy in the history of our country during my first term, and with all of the many other things that I accomplished, secure border, military dominance, Space Force, all-time stock markets and 401ks, record job and economic growth, and so many other things that would be impossible to readily list, which are considered by many to be legendary, John was very late in backing me in what turned out to be a historic run for the Republican nomination and then the presidency itself, both of which were landslide victories and, more importantly, gave us the country that we have today, the golden age of America. And when we finish up with Iran, which will not be allowed to have a nuclear weapon, you will see numbers that have never been generated by our country before, as opposed to the disaster of the previous administration. There you have it, President Trump endorsing Ken Paxton. Ken Paxton for United States Senate in the state of Texas. So to set it up real quick, and I'll get your comments.
Sure.
This might be, and we said this when it happened, after the primary, which I think was rigged, according to, that's according to the research that I've read by Dr. Andrew Paquette. But he did, they did beat out the third guy. After the primary, it looked like Trump was going to endorse Paxton. And so, Cornyn. It looked like he was going to endorse Cornyn. What did Paxton do? He comes out and says, you know what? I'll drop out if the SAVE Act gets passed. And guess what was never going to happen?
Yeah.
The SAVE Act was never going to get passed. And Ken Paxton made a genius political chess move by offering to do that. And now he has the nomination and will be the nominee a week from now when they have their vote.
Yeah. Yeah. It shouldn't be, the level of chess and poker strategy shouldn't be this way, but I mean, we can objectively see that that's how it's playing out. And I think what happened in Indiana, what happened with Dr. Cassidy in Louisiana, like those things just fed the fuel or fed the fire of, Trump's need or Trump's endorsements and the Trump energy. That just feeds you need that. You have to have that. And if you don't, if you're on that bad side, watch out.
Yeah.
Because like you will sacrifice your political future. And that's not noble as you would think it would be. You would think initially like, well, that you're standing on principles and you're you're doing the right thing for your constituents in your district. Godspeed. Well, no, because you're going against the party. You're going against the mandate. You're going against the things that the American people need to make our lives better. We need a funded government. We need mass deportations. We need all the things that are included in so many of the things that people like Thomas Massie and others vote against. And hold up the train. Like the train has left the station, and all you're doing is getting in the way. Sorry. I know that.
No.
I know that makes me sound like
No.
Just
and again, we had the Massey discussion yesterday.
A total Trumpkin.
I understand that. And we talked about Massey.
I'm glad you played J.D. Vance's comments yesterday as well, because that was so perfectly worded. It's like, yeah, Thomas Massey's I'm sure a good guy, and in a lot of ways, more than a large percentage of his votes are in alignment, but on the big ticket items and then the things where they needed him, they could never count on him. He was always an obstructionist, always under the auspices of, well, I'm doing it for the budget. And as you guys talked about very objectively yesterday, that doesn't really matter, and that doesn't hold water anymore.
Yeah.
You can't, that's not a badge of honor for you. You can't put that trophy on your mantle that like you saved a little bit of pork, or you voted against it because of there was some pork in there, and now you voted with the Democrats. Good job. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see what happens. Because we also cover, we talked about this all yesterday, with Massey versus Gallerin and that sort of thing. I mean, it's ultimately up to the people of Kentucky, and the polls show it. Some of the polls show it really close. Some of the polls show him, with a Gallerin with like an 8-point lead, and we'll see. I mean, I won't be surprised at either outcome. So, honestly, if Gallerin wins, won't be surprised. We covered the funding, $35 million spent on a House race, not a Senate race, a House race. Also, we covered the special interest involved, AIPAC and others. But if Massey wins, I won't be shocked either if Massey somehow pulls it out, because he up until President Trump, came after him, he was a very popular guy in his district, and so we'll see what happens.
Kentucky's close to us. I have a lot of family in Kentucky. I know a lot of people in Kentucky. This is about 21 counties in Kentucky that are going to go to the polls today and cast their ballot and
Sorry,
make their.
I had the wrong camera angle. Sorry,
this guy knows what I'm talking about, right? They're going to make their choice.
It's like Clint Eastwood.
Yeah,
and the RNC back in the day.
These 21 counties of folks encompassing Louisville, Lexington, they're going to go make their choice today. I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think that from all the folks that I talk to, that they feel an ounce of the fact that they're doing that because Israel told them to. Do you? Because that's what I'm hearing all day. It's like if Massey wins, then it's great. If Gallerin wins, then it's because Israel wins. And I have to fundamentally disagree with that.
Well, I'm certainly. I see those posts too online. What did I do? Oh yeah. No, sorry. Did I really? Did I have
It was still on there.
I had the blank change. Okay, there you are.
Yeah.
Sorry
It's
about
okay.
that. No, I understand that. Like I get that that's the sentiment, and I definitely wouldn't say that it's all about that,
Yeah.
but it certainly is about that from a dollar amount in terms of you look at the amount of money that's come in, and that we covered that Politico story the other day on that topic, and I mean it just for all the people that have warned against foreign involvement at all, it's not like this is some conspiracy theory. This happens. This is a thing that exists in our politics today. But I wouldn't say that no. Everybody voting for Galeran is doing it because they want war in Iran. Although I would say the demographic breakdown that we did was interesting in terms of how the younger vote, the perception is that he's targeted. Massey's being. We talked about this yesterday, but he's being targeted because of his stance on the Epstein files and everything else, and then Lauren Boebert is now being targeted allegedly. Of course, the primary filing date for for Colorado is over. So, you know what? It's up to the people of Kentucky to decide.
Yeah.
I also know there's a last-minute sex scandal out there about Massey.
Oh yeah.
Which, to me, that's something that you put out. Putting that out there at the last minute shows you that they know that it is a lot closer than I think some of these polls have it.
Yeah.
Because that's what happens when you have a close race. You throw everything in the kitchen sink at it.
I just think it's good that in this conversation and in this context, in the objective way in which you and I can talk about things, and Rob as well, we realize that for us, this doesn't have to be a binary choice. We've talked about that before. We resist that whole notion that the mainstream media pushes out on everybody, and they've been doing it all day today. Whereas if you're for Massey, you're this, and if you're for Galeran, then you're this. And that's not the case, and that doesn't have to be the case. And it's part of what makes the mainstream media so gross.
Yeah.
Is that's what they push, and the guests that they're bringing on, and everybody brings it up as to where it has to be this binary choice, and this is the way it is. And a vote for Galeran is a vote for Israel.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa.
Yeah.
Slow down. Pump the brakes a little bit.
And on the other side too, there may be people that are like, I like the party, but I also, think that Massey is holding the party accountable. We talked about the principal aspect of the debt, right, and how it really doesn't matter anymore. And I don't want to get into that, because the me of 15 years ago would have been like, "What do you mean the debt doesn't matter?" But practically speaking, I know this sounds crazy, but the debt is a blackmail tool, if it's anything, hanging over our head as a crisis to be used when somebody wants to use it. But what I also say this, and I want to move back to Ken Paxton and John Cornyn.
Sure.
But it is interesting. A lot of times with these races, especially the national ones, you never really know a local community, how a local community, because even when the national headlines come, when the national reporters come over a local area in Kentucky or anywhere, they're always going to miss the true feeling on the ground, I believe. There's always going to be other variables because we are the country is very diverse when it comes to different areas, and even among the red states. I mean, you just look at the different accents. Like, I know if I'm from Arkansas, I know if I'm talking to somebody from Mississippi. We both have Southern accents, but it's different, right? I know that's just a one example. But so you never really know how a local person that actually lives in that district. Like, for example, I know for a fact, I've got family in Texas right now. I know for a fact that they think Thomas Massey has, they're Republicans. They think Thomas Massey has done good things, and they would be like, man, we hope Thomas wins against this Ed Galeran person. At the same time, they are ecstatic that Donald Trump has just endorsed Ken Paxton over John Cornyn. Why is that, right?
Yeah.
To your point, because they know they don't want to be governed by John Cornyn. and they want any advantage they can possibly get to use this apparatus, to use this system, to make sure that they're no longer represented by John Cornyn.
Sure.
Does that make sense? I
Totally.
guess. So we'll see. This is why primaries exist. They exist for this reason, and primaries in deep red counties are the general election, and they are brutal. They are brutal for a reason. And again, in the Republican Party, there's a coalition. It's a coalition, and it's the only real place to actually have a debate about different issues and things. So we can all agree that we don't want to be run and ruled over by Democrats.
Absolutely.
We can all agree to that. So,
and that's getting back to you guys had mentioned it yesterday about our group conversation and how Republicans and MAGA coalition continues to win, and that's by being even more active and motivated to support primary challengers who beat senators and representatives like Cassidy and others that are holding us hostage.
Yep.
I mean, and it doesn't just have to do with age, but we need a contingency of young, aggressive Republicans like Brandon Gill and others like him, and in the House and the Senate, to come in and primary the folks to get get some of them out. We're not going to be able to get all of them out right away just based on where they are, but
yeah,
that's what we need.
So anyway, back to the fallout here from Ken Paxton and this endorsement. Here was Ken Paxton's response after hearing the news that he has been endorsed by President Trump. Listen to this.
It is so good to be here. I guess I'm a little late. I was waiting on a little announcement. Did y'all see that? Well, first of all, Carissa, thank you for being here. She's so amazing. You are so blessed to have such a great state representative. And I'll tell you what, I'm so honored to have President Trump's endorsement. His endorsement, in my opinion, is the most significant endorsement in my lifetime. So when he endorses, it has a tremendous impact. We're already doing really well, but certainly I have so much respect for the president and so appreciate his endorsement, and I think it creates a slight bit of momentum, don't you?
All right, so that's, again, the primary in Texas 1 week from today. People in Texas now have a lot of motivation. Here is Eric Daugherty. Senate Republicans are reportedly livid with Donald Trump after he endorsed Ken Paxton, appearing stone-faced in the halls and sounding angry. That's according to Punchbowl. Then we have John Thune at a press conference a little while ago.
Given that you've spent months trying to persuade the president to endorse John Cornyn in the Texas primary, and given that the NRSC has invested heavily to help Cornyn win that primary, how personally disappointed or frustrated are you with the president's decision to endorse Ken Paxton today?
Well, I think you all know my position on this issue. I've made it very clear for months now. And Senator Cornyn is a principled conservative. He is a very effective senator for the state of Texas. And but none of us control what the president does. He made his decision about that. That doesn't change the way I feel. And I am certainly will continue to be supportive of Senator Cornyn and his reelection.
How much harder has he made it to keep the majority? How much harder has the president's decision here made it for you to do the number one job to keep the Republican majority, given your concerns about Ken Paxton's viability as a candidate?
We look at lots of races around the country, and the majority runs through a lot of different states. We have 24 seats up this time. The Democrats have only 9, so we've got a lot more ground to defend. We also have a couple of offensive opportunities. So, one state doesn't determine the outcome of this election, but obviously we care about every state, and we care about helping see our incumbents succeed. That being said, I feel very good about where we are. As I've said before, I think when it comes to winning elections, it starts with quality candidates. Then you've got to have a record of accomplishment to run on. You've got to have resources to get that message out, tell that story to the American people. And then you've got to have a really substantial effort to get out the vote, a ground game. And I feel confident in all those elements in all the key states where we're going to have competitive elections this year. And I'm very confident we'll hang on and maybe even expand the majority of the United States Senate, which is counter, I know, to the sort of the narrative these days. But the truth of the matter is, we've got the right candidates in the right places at the right time, and with the
Okay, yeah. Man, I don't want to even hear this guy talk anymore, It's
He can cry me a river.
He's a politician from
Whatever.
a bygone era.
Yeah. Mr. Thune, if you had passed the SAVE Act, we wouldn't be in this situation. You wouldn't be up there with all your stone-faced colleagues ticked off about how Cornyn's not getting the endorsement from President Trump. I have zero sympathy for their frustration or whatever. Zero.
Well, and I'll just tell you this: the establishment is so angry when they don't get their way.
Right.
They are now rooting for Tallarico. I can promise you, there are some establishment Republicans that will, covertly try to help a Democrat take the seat.
That was the one thing Ken Rove said, though, or Karl Rove said, though, today when he was making comments, and he was by no means a supporter of Ken Paxton, but he just said it doesn't matter anyway because either of these two candidates will destroy Tallarico in the general.
Good. I'm glad you said that.
He obviously voiced his support for his friend, and he was unbiased. I mean, he was very open and honest about that he wants Cornyn to win, and a lot of these guys obviously do too. But
that's
If
interesting.
you had passed the SAVE Act, you wouldn't have been in this predicament because Ken Paxton would have made true to his word about stepping aside if they would just get the SAVE Act passed. I mean, that's what he agreed to. He literally publicized that. Hey, if you guys pass the SAVE Act, I'll bow out.
Yep.
And they didn't do it.
You wonder if Cornyn even tried. Did Cornyn even try to lobby for the SAVE Act, knowing that the Trump endorsement, basically his political future? And keep in mind, Cornyn was going to be the Senate Majority Leader had he not been up for election this year.
Yeah.
He would be where Thune is right now.
That's right.
But they didn't want the Majority Leader to have to face the voters so soon and essentially have this, exactly the way it's played out, play out. So, John Cornyn is just like Thune. I mean, these are old guys that are products. They have a political mentality, a DC political mentality from the 90s, the early 2000s, and they're basically in these positions managing our decline. And then you look at, I'm not surprised Karl Rove was out there this morning attacking Ken Paxton. He probably was tipped off what was about to happen, I would imagine. But Karl Rove is a Bush acolyte. And, one of the things that they're going to now try to say is that, well, Ken Paxton has there's some dirty laundry. There was a divorce, I think, with Ken Paxton and allegations of adultery, that sort of thing. They're going to try to bring that up. But all you need to know, they're going to bring up the impeachment because the Texas Republicans tried to impeach Ken Paxton and turn him over to the FBI, and he was acquitted on all 16 counts. And by the way, the same month that Ken Paxton was impeached by the Texas House, which was a Bush-controlled entity, okay, the same month that happened, Ken Paxton had launched investigations into Pfizer, Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson over what they said the COVID vaccine would do versus what it actually did. And then he immediately gets impeached. As a matter of fact, I have this story here from Brianna Morello, this from today about Ken Paxton. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton has secured a historic settlement with grocery store chains across Texas, stopping them from secretly misting synthetic pesticides on organic produce. Albertsons Safeway, the parent company of more than 10 different grocery store chains, has agreed to immediately end its practice of misting organic produce with synthetic pesticides. Did you guys know that the mist that they are spraying in grocery stores, a lot of times you'll even add sound effects, thunder and lightning.
It's not just water, huh?
Did you know it's not just water, that it's pesticides, and they were putting it on organic so you thought you were buying organic, but it survives the farming process, but it gets to the store and gets coated with pesticides. It's stuff like this that people want this stuff exposed and they want it ended, and they honestly want people to go to jail for it, because it seems like there is an active attempt to not only deceive us but to poison us and drive us into the arms of Big Pharma. And so this is who Ken Paxton is. Is he perfect? No, but nobody is. But you would never get John Cornyn. John Cornyn would think that this is some conspiracy theory, that they're misting our vegetables with pesticides. Brad Johnson writing, Trump was about to back Cornyn after he won the primary. The brakes were put on by Paxton's gambit, saying he'd consider dropping out if the Senate blew up the filibuster to pass the SAVE Act. 10 weeks later, Trump endorsed Paxton. Has to be among the most successful political maneuvers of all time. I don't know about all time, but it was a genius move when he did it. I remember thinking, wow, that's slow. That basically was like, okay, President Trump, we're going to have a contest. And and in doing that, that was Ken also showing Trump, hey, I'm backing your agenda. I'm using leverage. We're going to talk the art of the deal. Let's see who's real about this. Let's see if John Thune and Lisa Murkowski actually care about John Cornyn. Do they actually care? And the answer is no. For some reason, they left John Cornyn out to dry. They hung him out to dry. Now, why is that? And we talked about this. It's because they don't want the SAVE Act. Republican senators that are the holdouts, and even some that have supported it, they've supported it because they know it's not going to come up for a vote. These Republicans don't want the SAVE Act, which will make it easier for Republicans to win, but it will also make for more honest primaries, more honest Republican primaries. And you'll never convince me that's why they don't want it. They don't want the system allows for cheating right now. It allows for cheating. It allows for cheating in contentious Republican primaries, as evidenced by Andrew Paquette's reporting on Bexar County, Texas, over at the Zark Files. And so now, and it's great, honestly, that the cheating didn't work, because now you've got the runoff election next week. But Cornyn now really doesn't stand a chance. Of course, they could always cheat again, I suppose. But we'll see. We'll have to wait and see. Richard Barris, who polls a lot, he's out there saying that this just gave 30% of Texas Republicans permission to vote in November. No other pollster was asking people what they would do if Cornyn was the nominee. We did as we did with Trump in 2024. Too many would have sat out the election this time. So that narrative that you're hearing from some that, hey, Cornyn's easier to elect than Tallarico, there is polling out there that suggests, no, actually, this is going to be an easier win for Republicans, because there's a lot of the base they hate John Cornyn. They think he's a rhino, a do-nothing Republican, and knows how to play the D.C. game, but doesn't know how to actually vote for what the Republican platform stands for, which is a problem with a lot of these people, because the donor class doesn't want to actually do what's best for the people. They want to do what's best for them, which is one of the reasons why Congress still hasn't passed a standalone law criminalizing the mutilation of children and calling it health care, like Donald Trump's executive order. That they don't want to do that because the donors don't want to end this trans insanity. But I digress.
You shouldn't.
It's a good, but I mean, to me, it's a good day because you've got.
The crazy thing is like we had this conversation 10 weeks ago.
Yeah, we
did. It feels like just yesterday because it's still fresh in my mind. But like we had this conversation 10 weeks ago. How is this going to play out now? Like, are you Cornyn, Thune? Are you guys going to get the SAVE Act done? Like, Ken Paxton's ready to step aside,
even with the motivation.
Get it done,
yeah.
and you not to mention you have 87% of Americans that believe that voter ID law should be passed. Republican and Democrat. This is a chip shot. Absolute chip shot. This was nothing that should have taken a time, except that they wanted to say that they're, taking some moral high road on the filibuster, which is just, to me at this point, it's just These guys, you brought up the 90s a while ago. Like, these guys aren't dealing with people like Newt Gingrich did back in the 90s or back during that time period when they could all sit in a room together and at least have objective conversations and respect each other. No, the Republicans are dealing with crazy people. Absolutely crazy people. It's just like Trump said. It's just like Brandon Gill said, and so many other Republicans on so many of these committees have said from their microphones. These people, Democrats, are crazy. They're literally crazy. You cannot work with them. And like you guys said yesterday, they will vote in lockstep with each other 100% of the time, every time.
Yeah. So
that's what their whips do.
How
they whip them in and bring them right in, and they vote together every single time.
So how did you take that South Carolina Senate Majority Leader saying that he's against the redistricting of South Carolina because he says we need a vibrant Democrat Party, and we're in the nation is best. South Carolina works best with a vibrant Democrat Party.
Thought it was idiotic.
Like, how is somebody?
Dude, you do not get to pat yourself on the back for that take.
Yeah,
that's a hot take, and it's a stupid take.
Well, and you just wonder: is this guy living under a rock somewhere?
Vibrant? Are you joking?
Yeah.
Like what?
Talk about being stuck in the 90s. That guy, I mean, is stuck in the 90s. I don't understand how you think so little of your people. You're so disconnected that you're thinking so little of your people that are being forced to live under Democrat rule or the possibility of Democrat rule. You have the ability to use the power that you're given by the people to make it harder for the people of South Carolina to live under the Democrats' insane ideas. We've established that we believe they're crazy, and then you don't do it from some 1990s notion that we need two parties when, I mean, we basically have a uniparty in a lot of instances. But if you're, as I said repeatedly, if you're going to have a debate, the only place to actually have that debate is within the context of the Republican Party right now. Now, that may not be ideal. I may not like that, but it's a coalition party, as we are witnessing with these primaries. I mean, there's a reason the primaries are contentious. I just think Kentucky, it's not as if there aren't a bunch of people that are supporting Massey who also supported Donald Trump and voted for him.
Yeah.
That you know what I'm saying? I mean, we have our disagreements, but it's not as if it's and I get the New York Times wrote a puff piece about Massey, and I get that Rob Spencer was posting in the comments about the View and the chickens on the View were squawking about Massey. I get that that's like a red flag for people, but that's just the Democrats who want Massey to win because it'll make Trump look weak, and they're desperate to see that happen. You know what I'm saying? Like the New York Times wants that to happen because it's bad on Trump. They're rooting against Trump in that case. And I think in some cases people who are disaffected with the Iran war on the right are as well. I mean, I'm not denying that, but my point is if you're going to have the debate, it's within the Republican Party.
Yeah.
Saying that you want a vibrant Democrat Party in 2026 is literally crazy. So you're wanting to basically negotiate with, it's like...
Yeah. Tell me what from the Democratic platform is vibrant and attractive to Republicans and what we should embrace. Explain to me what aspect of what the Democrats fight for is attractive to we need to bring some of that, and we need to move a little ourselves to the left to embrace that or to affirm that nonsense. I mean, you literally heard what Kamala Harris said the other day on that conference call that she was on, where, we know exactly what they want to do. They want to stack the Supreme Court. They want to open our borders again. They want to make D.C. and Puerto Rico states. They want to re-gerrymander where they can, and they want power. Full control and power. That's what they want.
Yeah.
So do not give it back to them.
Here's Vice President J.D. Vance. So Caroline Leavitt is on maternity leave. A couple of weeks ago, Marco Rubio gave these are like mini auditions for who's going to be the next president of the United States. A couple of weeks ago, it was Marco Rubio, in there doing the press conference. So now it's Vice President J.D. Vance's turn.
They're all trying out.
Well, the press conferences are really long.
Oh, yeah.
Because these are two contenders. There's no question about it. But he did get a question, J.D. Vance did, about President Trump's endorsement of Ken Paxton, and this was his answer. Listen.
Mr. Vice President, thank you. Today we saw the president endorse Ken Paxton over John Cornyn in the Texas Senate race. Do you think that sends a message going forward for the next cycle to senators, considering running for re-election, or any MAGA-aligned potential candidates that are considering challenging them?
Well, I'd say a couple things, Nick. First of all, I think the president's very gratified by the response that he's heard from the base and from a lot of voters, I think, who are passionate about Ken Paxton. We think Ken Paxton is going to be a great senator for the people of Texas, but most importantly, a great United States senator who can work on solving the problems that all of us confront as a country together. I've known John Cornyn for a long time, but unfortunately, when it really counted, Ken Paxton was there for the country, was there for the president, and that's why he ultimately earned the president's endorsement. He thinks he's going to be a better senator, thinks he's going to make a better candidate, and so I do think it sends a message, but really not just the endorsement, but one of the things the president has done very effectively, going back 10 years in his leadership of the Republican Party and the country as president of the United States, is he said, I want people who fight for the good. I want people who can't be bought by corporate lobbyists, who can't be bought by Wall Street, who can't be bought by special interests, who are going to go to Washington and fight for the people who actually elected them to those positions. And I think one of the things we've seen in the Republican Party, while I can't say that all of our representatives are perfect or all of our senators are perfect, we have seen a much better crop of talent come into Washington since Donald Trump has been the leader of the party and the leader of the movement. I do think we're going to continue to see that happening. But I think the message that people should take from this is fundamentally, you have got to serve the people who sent you. And if you don't do that, you're going to find yourself out of step with voters or out of step with the president of the United States, and that's not a good place to be politically.
There you go. Honestly, that applies. You can take what he said again there and apply it directly to Thomas Massie.
100%.
I mean, the issue with it is look, they wanted your vote on the big beautiful bill,
and on Speaker Mike Johnson's appointment to Speaker. Remember, Massie
and,
was the lone Republican
right.
who voted against
right.
Speaker Mike Johnson,
and so. It's just one of those things. It's like, hey, we wanted your vote on the big beautiful bill.
Yeah.
The Mike Johnson thing as well. You didn't get this. You didn't get with the program, and so
take a principled stance on some things. We know you're against all pork. We know you're
voted against.
You're a fiscal hawk. Like we get that. All right, cool. But you gotta play ball with some of the things that are really important for everybody. And not just make it seem like I'm just trying to save my constituents in Kentucky money.
Yeah.
That doesn't get to be your get out of jail free card in Monopoly. Like, sorry, man. Like, you got to get some thing. We got to get some things done. Like, we got to get some things. We got to get projects funded. We have to get some things passed. And yes, Mike Johnson's been a great speaker, so that obviously made him look terrible. And
I do have a Mike Johnson clip though that's going to make Mike Johnson kind of look terrible later in the show, just so we're equal opportunity.
At first, everybody was like, he's not qualified for this, but he's done a great job since getting in, and he's certainly done a lot better job than John Thune.
Did you hear what he's? Yeah, I'll agree with you there.
Did you
hear what he said about the stock market trading?
No,
I've got this pulled up. It's not good. It's not good at all. He complained. He basically complained that they haven't raised the pay for Congress since 2009, and so these guys are making $175,000 a year, and it's just not enough. And so he argued the counter argument is that they need to be allowed to, in order to attract, he said, the best and the brightest who are willing to give up their big high-paying jobs to come to D.C., that they need the ability to trade stocks so that they can,
supplement,
take care of their. No, he said take care, so they can take care of their families. Now, mind you,
Marjorie Taylor Greene walked away with about $25 million.
Yes, she did
when she left. So, but I guess that's what he's talking about.
Already making $175,000, and to the average,
tell that to the average.
I mean, come on. come on. And the average American in Arkansas yesterday, the average gas price right now is $4.07 a gallon statewide. That is like I don't even know if we got that high in Obama.
Tell that to folks with a household income of $40K.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's just there is when we're already taxed
to death.
Yeah.
And then, oh, by the way, you're paying $4.10 a gallon for gas. It's come on.
It's kind of a crazy thing to say, actually. I don't even know.
Yeah.
Like, I guess if I was a politician and I was and I was in that system, specifically with DC, like some of the stuff that comes out of these guys' mouth, if I was in the crowd, I would never say these things because I would think to myself, I can't say that. Like
that'll go over like a fart in church.
I can't say the line is like, I lied earlier when I said I was like you. I took a helicopter here. Like, I'm not going to say something like that. But saying that stock, that we have to let them trade stocks because they only make $175,000 a year, it's like the one thing that you can't say if you want to be relatable to the average American. So, I mean, it's like such an unforced error to say something like that. And yet, we're
like Lloyd on Dumb and Dumber, the IOU, $175,000. That's a big one.
Yeah. Want to hang on to that one.
I want to hang on to that one.
All right, let's reset here and take a break. I think that's a good segue to reset and take a break. This is the Paul Harrell Program. We appreciate you being with us, broadcasting here live on LFA TV, and we're going to be back here in just a moment.
For centuries, light has been used to heal. Awaken the body with Red Vive.
Why is Red Vive different? What sets it apart? What sets us apart from the standard red light panels? This is a medical grade device, and what that means is the red light bulbs and the near infrared bulbs have very specific wavelengths. If you think about the wavelength as the medicine, the 635, the 670, the 810, the 850, those were specifically chosen because those are the most powerful effectors of the cells. So those specific wavelengths, when they get into our body, when they affect our tissue, they spike energy production, they help with nerve pain control, they increase stem cell counts. There's very specific mechanisms that those specific wavelengths work at, and that's the medicine. So if you think of, say, medicine as an Advil or a specific steroid or a blood pressure medication, the wavelength is the medication. The other part of that, whenever you take a medication, is dose. Right? So you have the medication. So if you take 1 milligram of Advil and the average dose of an Advil is 200 milligrams to 800 milligrams, it's not going to work. That doesn't mean the medicine's bad. It just means you didn't take enough. Right? And so even if you have the right wavelengths, first you have to have the right medicine, and then you have to have the right dose. And to have the right dose, in light therapy, you have to have enough energy. So you have to have a powerful bulb. The LED bulbs, or light emitting diodes, have a specific wavelength, and that wavelength is the medicine. And the wavelengths that have been studied and published on that are the most powerful in affecting healing and the changes that we want to see with our bodies and our health are the 635 wavelength, the 670, 810 nanometer wavelength, and 850 nanometer wavelength. Those are all going to affect the mitochondria, the cytochrome C oxidase, and affect those powerful long-term changes and affect that downstream pathways. And that's what you get with Red Vive devices. The highest efficacy, the best wavelengths, concentrated to help your health.
Behind every precious life, there was a choice. Behind every family moment, behind every special memory, there was a choice. A life of joy, a life that is beautifully and wonderfully made. At 7 Weeks Coffee, we are funding the pro-life movement, one cup at a time. Will you let your coffee serve a greater purpose?
The Paul Harrell Program.
All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, alongside the great Eric Haynes. Eric, I don't know if you saw your lower third today, but we have a new pun. Did you see it?
I missed it.
Okay. Keep your Haynes out of my wallet. Keep those Haynes out of my wallet is what it says today. So we're going to keep going. A matter of fact, we probably should go ahead and
Keep your Haynes out of. I got it.
So I've already compiled a long list, ladies and gentlemen, of puns, different puns that we can use with, replacing the word hands with Haynes. But if you guys have any,
don't open it up to the chat.
No, I'm just saying.
I'm gonna get roasted like Kevin Hart.
Well, I want to keep okay. Well, I don't want to throw I want to be able to actually review them, and I don't know if I'll be able to review all the comments. Maybe we should set up a specific email address.
Oh, I'm watching.
But we got to save them so I can analyze them to see if they're any good. Because your suggestion, although I already have a lot, I've already compiled a huge list. The other week it was the Devil's Haynes are the Devil's. Idle Haynes.
Idle Haynes.
Idle Haynes are the Devil's workshop.
Yeah.
So we're gonna keep this going. And so I'm just throwing that out there to the chat. I mean, if you guys want to be a part of the show, that's one of the ways you can contribute.
Hey, I heard a really good conversation that Glenn Beck was having. Did you see this? The conversation he was having with the fellows at the diner?
No, was this
good video? It's like, I mean, it was kind of like one of those shorts, but it was a part of his program too. And he described the relationship between, like, what it must be like in Congress now with Republicans and Democrats. And he said, here's what I thought. I thought maybe it would be cool for me to go over to GLAAD, the Gay and Lesbian Association, and with all the stuff that was going on with Iran and in the political parties, here's what I thought I would do. I would go over to them and extend the olive branch, and I would say, hey, we're not going to... And he said, I set up a private meeting with the director and CEO of GLAAD. And I walked into the office, and I said, look, we're never going to agree on anything, on everything.
The Freudian slip there.
Yeah. Bakeries, all that stuff. We're not going to come to an agreement on as it relates to that. But I also know that what's going on in Iran right now is that they're throwing homosexuals off of buildings, and they're killing those folks. And I also agree that that's horrible. Don't you, sir? Yeah, obviously, I definitely agree with that. Well, I tell you what. Let's get together as a united front and say, at least we agree here. They're here, I'm here, they're there. But here on this issue, we agree that it is disgusting that these guys are being thrown off of buildings and stoned and killed for their lifestyle. And he said...
Wait, okay, I'm just curious. Is there a story recently like this is happening in mass, or is this just the practice? I don't dispute that it's the practice. I'm just... Am I ignorant? Is there like some epidemic right now like of that happening?
No,
like,
but that's just part of Muslim Islamic.
This is just
fundamental.
This was him trying to come. Okay, all right. I just didn't know if I had missed a story.
As a basic principle.
I got you.
Again, like with Republicans and Democrats, just trying to go across the aisle and say, I know you believe this, I believe this, but there's an area here in the middle where I think we both agree. And he said, let's go out and just as a united front say, hey, this is horrible what's happening over there in the Middle East. This needs to stop. And immediately Glenn said that the CEO stopped and said, you can stop right there. I will never, ever be aligned with you or publicly be on stage with you, aligning with you in any way. And that's where we are. That's where the Republican and Democratic Party is. And even when I have conversations with people, private conversations with people I fervently disagree with, there's always a point in that conversation where I say, hey, can we agree on just this basic principle? And as somebody that considers myself your friend, you and I can agree that this, while you think this and I think this, that this is also right or this is also wrong, right? And we usually get to that point. But with Republicans and Democrats now, there is no middle ground. And to the point of why these seats are so important, it's because, and why we're having to have such a focus on fixing all the ridiculous cheating and gerrymandering that Democrats have put on the Republican Party and on America for decades, and why it's so important to fix. That's the reason why. And that's the reason why now they're freaking out in places like Memphis, Tennessee, and literally going bananas in public and in these houses and in these houses of Congress where laws are supposed to be made. And instead, people are just freaking out and jumping up on top of their desks and yelling and screaming and doing all these things because they know that they're losing control of a little bit of that power that they had.
To your point, this is Justin Pearson. The other day, the Tennessee Democrat Party, this is from Clay Travis, has become increasingly unhinged with no hope for election to statewide or national political office. This is what they do. They act like complete clowns. Here is Justin Pearson, the Tennessee impersonator, the Malcolm X impersonator, basically threatening, storming a committee and threatening somebody. Listen.
Mr. Chairman, you have 2 ayes, 7 nays.
The noes prevail. House Bill 1392.
Justin Pearson getting in his face.
No, sir. No, sir.
Don't touch him. Do not touch him. Let him go. Do not touch him. Do not touch him.
Don't you ever come out to me and my family.
Bye, Farmer, you stop.
But don't you ever
Bye, Farmer. Bye, Farmer.
Take care of him, Justin. Come on. Come on, Justin. Come on, Justin. You're okay.
We love you.
Why are they treating Justin like he's like some sort of like demented nursing home patient? Come on, Justin. Come on. You're okay, Justin. Those are his supporters that are in the committee room.
Bunch of psychopathic Karens.
Yeah, and this is the same Justin Pearson who, when they passed the redistricting in Tennessee, this is just so you guys know.
He'll walk out by himself.
Yeah, let Rep Pearson go. Let Rep Pearson go. What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you?
Hang on, look at that. Look at that face real quick. And I will strike down with great vengeance and furious anger those who attempt to poison and destroy my brothers. Come on now. And you will know. That's what it looks like. He looks like Jules from Pulp Fiction, everybody. Jules from Pulp Fiction.
To Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah. I am sick and tired of these snakes.
I think what's cool about it now is that you and I think I speak for a lot of people. We're just so tired of stuff like this too that nobody takes it seriously anymore. Like people like that are a joke, and I think that's good. I think that's a good thing that people like that are an absolute.
Yes, but the South Carolina guy says we need a vibrant Democrat Party. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? This is who you got to negotiate with, right? Because here's the deal: as the districts that the Democrats do have become smaller, they're going to become more radical. That's one of the reasons why we got really. That's what we've lived with the last since these court-imposed gerrymandered racial districts. It actually ensures that the person that you get from the blue district is going to doesn't have to cater at all to white voters at all who are going to be more on the right. And so it means that the southern blue Democrats from the racial districts are going to be your most extreme.
Yeah.
They're going to be your Sheila Jackson Lees or your Maxine Waters.
Oh, yeah. You needed to add in your Ron DeSantis there, too. Man, maximum warfare. Justin Pearson.
We're going to have maximum warfare. We're going to have maximum warfare.
Now you sound like Peter Griffin from Family Guy.
Yeah. We're going to have maximum warfare, everyone. That is... So yeah, there's that. So I hadn't planned to start there, but you went into that, so it was perfect.
Yeah, it was a bridge.
But now that Bill Cassidy has lost, and it will no longer be the senator from Louisiana come next year, now we have heard that Bill Cassidy, according to Eric Daugherty, is now refusing to vote for the president's ballroom after losing his seat to Trump's primary challenger. He's not going to vote for not gonna vote for the ballroom. So, this is what a lame duck's going to do, going to lash out. Now all of a sudden, Bill Cassidy's going to be we have to have fiscal responsibility after a career of, I guarantee you, that's probably what he's going to say. Well, we just can't afford it after a career of voting for every spending bill in the world.
Yeah.
Anything to print more money, and now all of a sudden you're going to find your principles. That's kind of that's who they are. Here's the clip I was telling you about with Speaker Johnson.
Well, look, the salary of Congress has been frozen since 2009. When you adjust for inflation, a member of Congress today is making 31% less than they made in that year. It goes down every year, and over time, if you stay on this trajectory, you're going to have less qualified people who are willing to make the extreme sacrifice to run for Congress. I mean, it's just people just make a reasonable decision as a family on whether or not they can come and move to Washington, have a residence here, a residence at home, and do all the things that are required. So the counter argument is, and I have some sympathy, look, at least let them engage in some stock trading so that they can continue to take care of their family. Well, look.
Sorry, man. You guys are privy to information that Paul and I are not. And that stuff has led to millions and millions of dollars in windfalls for you and the rest of Congress as you spend your time up in D.C. and all the backroom meetings and lobbyist-inspired happy hours and confidential classified security briefings, and you guys know too much. It is insider trading, bro. Sorry.
It is 100% insider trading, and to make a statement like that again is just such an unforced error. I mean, it's just so incredibly stupid to say something like that. And I don't know, the part about, they got to make a sacrifice. They've got to get a place here. Well, there's a lot of congressmen that don't. There's a lot of congressmen that put up cots in their office and shower in the congressional gym shower.
Yeah.
And they do that because real estate is so expensive.
Paul, how would Tim Burchett have responded to Speaker Mike Johnson there, sir?
You put me on you.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
Well, Eric, you put me on the spot. It's just a difficult situation up here, and you got all these people up here, and they're sleeping in their offices because they're, the real estate prices here are so high. And matter of fact, hang on a second. Where's Tim Burchett? I have a clip. Here he is. Representative Burchett says President Trump is facing resistance from the deep state on the UFO files, which may reveal a cover-up. Let me see. How close am I?
Tell me all about the UFOs and the aliens.
Well, the problem we have right now is the deep state's fighting the president on releasing. He kept his word, and I suspect some of our not-so-friendly comrades in some of our alphabet agencies are slow-walking a lot of the information. It's about power, it's about control, and that's kind of what runs Washington.
All right, what do you think is in these files, and why do you think they're not trying to release any of them? Like they're partial release.
Part of it's going to be that they're going to have to admit that they've been lying to us all these years, and there could be some cover up of zero energy. There could be some other things. I don't think we're ever going to get everything we have.
Now, he said zero energy. So that's actually a big tell there, in my opinion, just because obviously if there's a way to create, free energy, then there's a lot of people that stand to lose a lot of money if there's technology out there that is, fusion, or I don't know what you want to say.
But that's kind of the nature of the game. But Trump's kept his word so far to me, so another personal word he had with me. So I'm proud of that.
All right, there you go.
Like I said, he's a national treasure.
Yeah, I agree.
They should all take lessons from him and Brandon Gill and some of the other great ones we have up there. It's like I always say, the best of us are not representing us, but there's some of them that are doing a great job up there, and I appreciate and respect what they're doing. I know they have a tough job, and
it's about power and control.
It's good that
that's what runs
representatives like him are there.
Washington, they're gonna have to admit they've been lying to us. I don't know. I don't think I could work on it a little bit more. I could definitely work on it a little bit more. Let's do a Graham
That's
Watch.
right.
You ready? Let's do it. Graham Watch. Here we go.
Senator Lindsey Graham loves New Wars. This segment is called Graham Watch, and it's dedicated to him. We see you, Lady G.
All right, so for this,
You need to do like a Morgan Wallen walk out to this song or something like that, or walk in one of these shows.
So for this Graham Watch, we've got Ryan J. Flugar, who is the Vice President and Chief of Staff at the National Association for Gun Rights, writing basically a comprehensive takedown of how Lindsey Graham. Now, of course, Lindsey Graham is in a primary, has the endorsement of President Trump, but the people of South Carolina, at a Trump rally, booed Lindsey Graham on stage not too long ago. Lindsey Graham is not, say what you want to, this guy does not like Trump. He only likes Trump when it's fair weather, and he still, doesn't really like him, in my opinion. Not to mention, Lindsey Graham and John Cornyn are essentially, Lindsey Graham's worse than Cornyn in a lot of ways. But anyway, we're going to read this. He says, I will personally enjoy casting a GOP primary ballot against Lindsey Graham now that I am a South Carolinian. Here's a list of Graham's anti-gun actions for your viewing and sharing pleasure. Check out Lindsey Graham's anti-gun record exposed. He says, Senator Graham voted for Joe Biden's gun control bill. Senator Graham sponsored red flag gun confiscation with Dick Blumenthal. Senator Graham used his judiciary chairmanship to advance gun control. And by the way, these are all sourced. Senator Graham voted to expand the NICS, no gun registry, by 6 million names without due process. He voted to ban private firearm sales. He was a cheerleader for bump stock bans, which later were overturned by the Supreme Court. He voted to confirm Elena Kagan, Sonia Sotomayor. He voted to confirm Merrick Garland as Attorney General. He voted to confirm Hillary Clinton to the Secretary of State. Senator Graham attacked Second Amendment on Fox News on August of 2019. Senator Graham called Second Amendment supporters fringe and not his base. He helped broker Joe Biden's radical gun control bill, the worst gun control bill to pass in 30 years, which poured hundreds of millions of dollars into gun confiscation and was later abused by the Biden ATF to persecute gun businesses. He teamed up with the radical anti-gun U.S. Senator Dick Blumenthal to co-sponsor his own federal red flag gun confiscation bill. As chairman of the Budget Committee, he voluntarily held a hearing to advance his red flag gun confiscation legislation. He never lifted a finger for any pro-gun bills. For his anti-gun actions, he earned the highest praise from radical gun control groups like Moms Demand Action. They're totally crazy. He voted for and co-sponsored the Fix NICS bill, which expanded the NICS No Guns Registry to 6 million names. We covered that already. He voted to ban private firearm sales during the post-Columbine stampede for gun control. So one of these so he's so reactionary to whatever the mainstream media is talking about, he's going to try to get in there and fix it. He called for locking up firearms and government-mandated pre-approval for firearm purchases at gun shows. He was a vocal cheerleader for an all-out ban on bump stocks. Instead of pushing to repeal the illegal 18 to 20 handgun purchase ban, he flirted with expanding it, which would further block military-aged young adults and single mothers from being able to buy a gun for self-defense. He voted to confirm 2 radical Obama-era gun grabbers, Sotomayor and Elena Kagan. Obviously, Merrick Garland. We've talked about this. Hillary Clinton, all of that stuff. So he sums it up by saying this. Well, let's get to the actual quote. Quote, "Not my base." Graham fires back, calling those who oppose his citizen disarmament scheme the fringe of the fringe. So if you believe in the Second Amendment as it's written, you're fringe of the fringe. As demonstrated in this thread, for 30 years, Senator Lindsey Graham has magically abandoned the Second Amendment to side with the anti-gun lobby whenever they need a token Republican. Now it's our turn to hold Graham accountable for letting gun owners down when we needed him the most. So there you go. The primary for Lindsey Graham, between Lindsey Graham and Mark Lynch, is June the 9th. And Mark Lynch has been making the rounds. He's been on Alex Stein's show. I know he's been on Benny Johnson's show. He went on Megyn Kelly's show. Mark Lynch has gone everywhere he can trying to get the word out that Lindsey Graham is vulnerable and can be defeated in the state of South Carolina.
On his own dime, by the way.
Yep, he gave himself out of his retirement. He's a successful businessman, but Mark Lynch gave himself $5 million. Literally, I mean, can you imagine? Would you do that? Like, how much would that take? How much would it take for you in your retirement, you're a successful business owner, to say, I'm going to take $5 million out and I'm going to try to, I mean,
well,
I think a lot of us can't. I mean, you probably have a lot more than $5 million if you're doing that, but still.
If you have many other millions that are
That's
collecting,
true. It would be
that
easier.
are collecting
Yeah,
interest,
you're right.
you'll be just fine.
But at least you're putting your own skin in the
yeah.
game. You're not just and other people have donated as well. Obviously, it's a grassroots campaign, and anyway, Graham Watch, ladies and gentlemen, just another reason why Lindsey Graham needs to go, just like John Cornyn needs to go. And that, ladies and gentlemen, concludes this episode's Graham Watch.
Senator.
Skip to it here.
Beautiful segment.
I hope I can retire that. Come June the 10th. I hope I can retire that. Although it's likely we're going to have a little bit longer. I think we may end up getting a runoff election because there's more than 2 people that are still running, I believe. I do know you had his name escapes me now, but you did have one drop out. The third place guy dropped out. Man, what is his name? He's a patriot for doing it, but I can't. His name escapes me right now. Forgive me, but that was a big deal for him to do that.
You just keep up the Senator Graham segment. I'll start a Spencer Pratt segment or something like that.
Yes,
for L.A. mayor
and Legos. Yeah, that's interesting. You know, I talked about that on Friday.
What a wild race that's becoming.
It is a wild race. I talked about that on Friday just because I didn't pay attention to the Mamdani thing, because it's just like, hey, League of Shadows, like, their time has come. I don't see a lot of hope there, but you know what? I don't live there. And if you live there and there's obviously places that there's a reason they're still there, they like where they live. Obviously it's California in this case, beautiful. But they're trying to find a way to stop the insanity, to get the crazy people out of power. It would be a big deal if Spencer Pratt would win. There's no doubt.
Every Republican needs to take note of Spencer Pratt's AI-generated ads and a lot of the other ads that his campaign has put together for him, because they are absolutely phenomenal. and we're going to need a lot of that stuff for the midterms.
Mm-hmm.
Because it lands, it hits, it hits right. It's the right message, and it's spot on.
Speaking of crazy, though, Oregon. This was a viral clip that's I saw this morning, where apparently a naked man a man exposed himself to some guy in Oregon, his 2-year-old, and they called the cops. And this is just, you got to hear it for yourself. And where they're basically saying it's not a crime to expose yourself to a kid.
In the state of Oregon, someone can walk up to your 2-year-old kid completely bare naked, and that's not a crime, even if it's on your property.
Correct. Well, so it's trespassing, but what I'm saying is there's no laws against the actual nudity portion of it.
So you can expose yourself to children in Oregon.
Again, if you're not doing it for sexual gratification or the gratification of somebody else, yes, you are allowed to walk around in public naked.
On private property, this is where I live, and someone just came and exposed themselves to my 2-year-old boy, and this officer's saying that it's not a crime. So a naked person came up onto my property here, approached my 2-year-old kid, completely naked, which I ran over to him and covered his eyes so he wouldn't see. My obvious thought is to call 911 as someone's indecently exposing themselves to my child on my property. At what point did this become a normal and acceptable thing to do? The cops will literally do nothing about it. They're basically saying we have to wait for that person to do something more serious to your kid before we can intervene. In the state of Oregon.
Wow.
Now, I mean, I can say here, pretty
try that.
I was going to say, like,
try that around here.
Yeah, try that around here would not go well.
Yeah,
but we live in the Shire, where locally there's still laws against public nudity.
Good grief!
But in Oregon, they are so far down the slippery slope that they're not willing to enforce basic decency laws.
Logan, you got to fix your people up there, man. Come on.
Oh, that's right. That's Logue 23, right?
Goodness, I cannot believe that I just watched that cop have to say with a straight face, as long as it's not for sexual gratification.
And just look at him. I mean, there's not even a. Yeah, I know, man.
The amount of remorse that guy should be saying.
Yeah.
That within in his face, like he should be vomiting.
Yeah, I mean,
he's saying it,
it's almost
he should be like, "Sir, I'm throwing up right now, figuratively speaking, as I'm telling you what the rule is here."
Yeah, the prosecutor's
this is
not
making
gonna
me
do
sick to have to tell you this. Yep. However, this is the rules.
But for him to say that, though, knowing that he's being recorded,
yeah,
he probably is like, if I'm honest with him and say, hey, yeah, the prosecutor won't do this, I'll lose my job. Well, guess what, buddy? Maybe you shouldn't be working for this. Maybe you shouldn't be working for a department that is calling evil good and good evil. Like calling a naked man, but by saying that you can't arrest them for it, you're calling that behavior good. You're calling that behavior, the law is looking at that, the prosecutor, the police chief, or whatever, they're looking at that behavior and saying that is righteous. When the homeowner is saying, no, this is evil, wicked, wrong, and it's disgusting, and you've actually harmed my son. You've harmed, or my daughter, too.
Yeah, you got to think like if somebody did that on our property and we unalived them, like in Oregon, you wonder if it's so bad there that we would get arrested.
Yeah, in Oregon, yeah.
If somebody did that to us and our children on our property, and we took action.
Your defense would be, if you're in Oregon, I guess your defense would be, I thought that he was there to rape my son or daughter, and the judge is going to be like, oh, no, you overreacted, you know? And it's like, it's all about giving the benefit of the doubt for criminals. And in this
is
case,
the crazy that we talk about. This is this is a symptom of the crazy.
The new America.
This is what
we need. A vibrant Democrat Party, though.
Yeah,
we need a vibrant Democrat Party.
This is the vibrancy.
It's insane, man. I mean, it's absolutely maddening.
Crazy.
How can this guy sleep at night? How can he look himself in the mirror knowing you're working for a a justice system that is promoting injustice.
Yeah.
I don't know. I it's people. It's like you wonder. I made a joke yesterday, because Rob was saying he's done a real estate deal with Chinese National before, and I said, "Oh, I always wondered who'd be the guy to escort me onto the train." But this is the face. This is the face of a guy that would do that.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're already if this is what you're doing, and I get it, he's probably lived in Oregon his whole life, probably a lifelong. Maybe he's wanted to be a cop all his life, and it just kind of you're the frog in the boiling pot of water. But I mean, at what point do you say I can't agree with this anymore? I can't work for an organization that's going to stand for this. And you saw this in San Francisco back during the Biden administration when Pride was at its peak, and you had the Tuck-It swimsuits at Target, right? The swimsuits for kids that are designed to hide your if you want to be a trans or whatever, and it was who was it that was there on the ground? I can't remember his name. I haven't seen his post in a while. But he was out there documenting the just kids at the parade with totally naked men waving pride flags coming down the street, and all the police were outside the designated area. They were all outside of the designated area where the parade was taking place, and he went up to the police and he said, "Hey, like, why aren't you guys arresting these people? They're naked." And they were told, "Well, they have that space for the parade. That's their event, and we can't do anything about the nudity, even though there's laws still on the books saying that is indecent exposure and wrong. There aren't the people to arrest them. They won't do anything about it." And honestly, I said then, and I'll say it again. The first sheriff that starts trying to enforce this type of stuff, will be a national hero, but will immediately lose their job or maybe even come under prosecution themselves from the state, if they're doing it in a blue area. I don't know how you guys do it. I know in the rural parts of Washington and Oregon, there's still and even California, there's still some sane people that are living under this tyranny, but I don't know how you stay there. I really don't. And you must love your homeland, and I'm sure it's where your family's been, or you're there for work, or a lot of these people, though, you've been there for generations, and it's your home. It's your ancestral home. But I don't know how I don't know how it ends. I don't know how it's ever reversed, I guess, short of some sort of Nineveh-like supernatural revival where, you have all of these people realizing that they are sinners and they repent. Like, Short of that, I don't know how.
Rise up, Jonas.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right. Well, in that case, you'd be asking for a lot of reluctant prophets to rise up because
Jonah was.
Yeah, he did not want them to repent, man. He did not want them to repent, but they did, and then he was mad about it. So anyway. Let's see, what else do we have here? Oh, okay. So this is going to be a great segue into AI. All right. So a couple of things. There has now been a string of commencement videos.
Oh yeah, I've started to see these.
And this is incredibly encouraging that the younger generation is where they're at. But the younger generation that are graduating college are it may be one of the most uncertain. Like if you were a senior in 2007 and graduated in 2008 after the housing crisis, you were pretty nervous. Am I going to have a job and everything else? But with what's coming with AI, if you are graduating college right now, it's exponentially worse.
Yeah,
it's exponentially worse. So this is a community college.
Yeah, imagine spending the last 4 years getting a degree. And your occupation that you're wanting to pursue is, anywhere on the top 50 list of jobs that are going to be taken. Imagine people graduated from the J school, like my wife graduated from at Mizzou, and wanting to be editors. All that stuff's going to be AI.
Yeah.
I can think of like a dozen right off the top of my head where it's just like right off the top of my hand. It's just like, oh, well, there won't be a place for them anymore. Mm-hmm. Like, they'll be downsized.
It's crazy, man.
I'm working in hospitals and watching scribes and dictation folks, medical records, like all that's all going to be AI pretty soon.
All of it. And so this is a clip from Glendale Community College, and they decided to have an AI. They trusted an AI to do something as simple as read the names of those who are graduating. That's all this was. We want AI, and the AI program messed up, started getting it wrong.
Oh,
listen to the explanation.
Graduates, everyone who is standing, here's what's happening. We're using a new AI system as our reader. So that is a lesson learned for us.
Yeah, we're using your new fake God. We're using your new fake God that's going to govern all of our society to call out your names during graduation. If that's not the most like Clark Griswold, if this isn't the most slap in the face, like
I'm gonna kick some Christmas presents.
Yeah. It's like
grab the eggnog. It's good. It's good. It's good.
Look around you, Helen. How can it be any worse, Helen? That is this moment playing out in graduation.
Worse.
What we were able to do, though, is each of you were able to walk the stage and get a picture, which is what I would hope would be the most meaningful.
Oh, this poor woman.
So I'm going to have to disappoint many of you. We will not be able to walk the stage a second time in order to have the name on the screen. You've handed over your cards, so we won't be able to do that. I am so sorry. There's plenty of opportunity.
I'm so sorry that you gave us all that money and you worked so hard, and we can't do the one thing.
I hope to take some really good pictures and to celebrate you with your loved ones as well. Yeah.
Whoa.
Are we going to do the rest?
Yeah. So I'll go let you do that. Okay. One more round of applause for our graduates.
All right. I haven't seen the rest of this video. What happens?
Alrighty, everybody. I have the part of the ceremony that doesn't require AI, so as soon as we...
I'm black. I'm so
Yeah, there it is. Glendale Community that botched AI graduation missed hundreds of names, including my cousins who worked hard to complete her degrees. All because of the AI. And then they announced it, and it was absolutely terrible. Then we have, this is from, I think, Central Florida University of Central Florida in Orlando. This is the commencement address that was given there. Watch this clip.
Now, that said, we are living in a time of profound change. That's an understatement, right? Profound change. Change is exciting, very exciting. And let's face it, change can be daunting. The rise of artificial intelligence is the next industrial revolution. Oh, what happened? Okay, I struck a chord. May I finish?
Yeah.
A chord is.
You told a bunch of kids that worked really hard for 4 years that they're going to need to stay living with their parents and being supported by them and working at the Starbucks.
Also,
because that corporate job is no longer available to them.
Also, striking a chord is kind of a good thing. Like a harmonious chord, something pleasant to listen to. You did not strike a chord. It boos where you can't really hear it, but.
Only a few years ago, AI was not a factor in our lives.
And they cheer for it.
Don't worry, ma'am. Skynet is cheering for the
Yes.
first part of what you said.
So
the T-1000s are cheering.
then we get to another speech, which is
Golly.
it's a much better mic'd audience. This is the former CEO of Google, Eric Schmidt. Okay, and this is at the University of Arizona, so much larger university. So we had a community college, we had University of Central Florida. Now we get to the University of Arizona, big school, and this is apparently last December is what this clip says. So this is not a new thing. This has been ongoing.
Last December.
Oh, never mind. This was recent. This was this month. The last December is what I'm reading is the subtitles. So listen to Eric Schmidt, former CEO of Google, and his commencement to the University of Arizona.
Last December, Time magazine selected its Person of the Year for 2025. And this time, it was the architects of artificial intelligence. Interesting. It will touch every profession, every classroom, every hospital, every laboratory, every person, and every relationship you have. I know what many of you are feeling about that. I can hear you. There is a fear. We do not know. We do not know the precise contours of what this transformation will look like. Choose a diversity of perspectives, including, let me add, and if you'd let me make this point, please.
The rise of the neo-Amish.
If you don't care about science, that's okay, because AI is going to touch everything else as well. Whatever path you choose, AI will become part of how work is done. If you have a problem in the world you want to solve, you can now assemble a team of AI agents to help you with the parts that you could never accomplish on your own. Let me give you some advice.
Hang on a second. That is like normal commencement. You can do anything if you put your mind to it.
Yeah.
No, you can't. And now we have AI that'll help you accomplish something that you could never do on your own.
Quote, choose a diversity of perspectives was the big red flag that I heard there. Well, another big red flag that I heard there. Unquote. Choose a diversity of perspectives. Now, I know you worked really hard those 4 years, and especially those last 4 years when you were getting your core coursework in a very specific area of study so that you could be the best you could be at a specific, job, and didn't get a general studies degree. And you did align yourself and get yourself in a position for that accounting degree. You studied up on accounting. You were so good at accounting. But you're not diverse enough now, and that degree is not diverse enough for what's coming. So guess what? Your accounting degree doesn't mean squat, because we can put all those numbers into the computer now, and they can do all that stuff for us. Jeez.
And
the audacity of saying that to a group of college graduates without thinking about that. Like, you put that into your speech, man.
Yep.
Like, you typed it up, and somebody looked at that. You let somebody else read that, and they were like, that's good. Those 22-year-olds are going to love that.
Yep. And this
the machines are coming, kids.
This older guy who is the head, former head of Google, which,
Dude.
One of the reasons AI is so good is because we've all been feeding Google for the last 25 years. You know what I'm saying? Think about it.
Yeah.
We've all been feeding it. And here's a guy saying, okay, now you've got to embrace your brave new world.
First, find a way to say yes. And thank you very much and good night.
So this guy's telling
Mr.
find a
Schmidt.
way. I know you don't like it, but
Yeah.
find a way to say yes to your new God, to your new fake God. Find a way to say yes to it. And the citizens, the people. Now, I'm telling you, this is very encouraging on a lot of levels. Just in terms of the younger people, when it comes to populism, this is the. We saw this with record young people voting for Trump. A lot of them, if you look at the polls, are discouraged with how the Epstein files were handled. Understandably so. We were critical of that. But when it comes to what the next wave of populism is going to be, this is one of the issues, and what it fundamentally comes down to is jobs. I think it's deeper than that. I think if you were to poll these young people and ask them, like, you'd have to conceptualize it, because I don't know if a lot of them have thought about it as deeply as I have. Maybe they have, but it's the soullessness of it all. It's that we're human beings designed to interact with one another, and as technology's gotten increasingly more advanced, we spend more times on our screens and less time in face-to-face. And that is that the culmination of that phenomenon is going to be with this AI. And I think the rise of the neo-Amish is going to revolve around the people recognizing, no, I actually am meant to be in community, not with robots, but with other human beings that have a soul. And I don't know how that messaging works, because I know within the people in that audience, there's going to be a bunch of diverse political views about a lot of the social issues that we care about, that are kind of our number one issues. But I don't know. But this is the next wave of populism, and it has to fundamentally do with jobs for whatever reason. Now, this is the first time. I mean, I wasn't around during the Industrial Revolution. Admittedly, I haven't gone and looked at publications about the Industrial Revolution. You know, I can't imagine that they called it the Industrial Revolution when it was happening. This is a term that they gave it. I'm just spitballing here. It's a term that was given after the automation took place, and it took people out of fields and put them in factories. Okay, this is because we have the hindsight of it all. Now we're saying, okay, this is the next industrial revolution, but it's with computers and AI, and it's going to eliminate jobs. They're saying that. I don't believe they said that back in, this is going to eliminate jobs. It's something they would have
Come on, in the 40s and 50s.
Yeah.
No,
but they're actively saying that now.
Yeah.
But that's just what's going to happen. Now, every other time, you were asking me the other day, like, when it comes to the robot, like about the improvements. This girl that I follow on degreefree.com about how you don't need college, and I think she's right, but she actually said, I think that there will be jobs created, because with every big leap in technology, there are jobs that you can't think about
Americans
right now
find a way
that are going to be created. I hope she's right.
I do too.
But I don't know. I don't really think so, because this is a revolution that's coming, and they're literally saying all of the things we used to do, that we do that take up our time, are going to be eliminated. There's talk to a guy who said that he did the specs on a factory or a loading factory. The whole thing is automated. Everything. They have robots to fix the robots. The whole thing is just, we don't need humans at all. This is what everything is going to. Now you have the problem. Right now there's a lot of corporations that could save a ton of money by firing a bunch of people and handing it over to AI. But then you actually also have to have people with money to buy the products. Enter universal basic income. So, I mean, to me, that's the AI revolution. The AI revolution is to give us universal basic income. And it's not just us theorizing this. The people in charge of the AI revolution, Elon Musk, are saying universal basic income. Yes, that's what's coming.
I hope not.
And the people hate it.
I hope not.
People don't want this.
No.
I talked to a lady today. We're going to have her on the show next week about specifically something that's gone on here in Arkansas called the LEARNS Act. And it was a fascinating conversation. She asked to meet with me to talk about it because she had a different perspective on the LEARNS Act. Generally, my take on the LEARNS Act here in Arkansas is that the idea that your tax money goes to homeschoolers or private school or wherever you want it to go, I feel like is a novel. I think it's a good thing. It was a pipe dream years ago where, the idea that your tax money for schools would go pay for, you'd get to direct where you want it to go was thought to be insane, that they would never allow that to happen. But now they have allowed it to happen to the tune of like $8,000, $7,000, $8,000 per student. So if you're a homeschool parent and you've got 3 kids, you're getting $8,000 a year per kid. But one of the things she said was, she was like, now hang on a second, like remove that concept for a second. Number one, not everybody is paying $8,000 in property taxes every year to fund schools. Very few people are.
Right.
So we're not getting back. We're getting back way more. But she says, number two, conservatives used to criticize, we would say, wow, Chicago spends $13,000 per student. That's insane. So she's like, what happened to us being like, hey, $8,000 per student is kind of a ridiculously high amount for public education. Like, does it really cost that much money? She says, we're not even having that discussion anymore. That discussion is now over with. And her point was, and she makes some really good takes, she has some really interesting points that I hadn't considered, is that universal basic income, that this is a foot in the door, that's what this is actually headed towards, is universal basic income. And the next step is daycare. How much does it cost to send a kid to daycare? I don't know, $40,000 a year. I really don't know. I have no idea. I've never done that.
It's so high that it doesn't make sense in a lot of cases for the second parent to work outside the home because daycare costs more than what they would bring in unless they're way above the minimum wage threshold. They would have to make so much more to make it even worth it. Otherwise, it's a wash.
Right. So now she says the next step...
Which isn't a wash because then somebody else is raising your kid.
She says the next step is going to be daycare, meaning we will pay you to stay at home and take care of your kids. That is the next step. And I'm sitting here thinking this, I'm like, yeah. But at the same time, how do you argue against it? Well, I mean, I don't know. Are there already government programs to help pay for daycare? I think there are. Isn't that the whole Leering Center thing? Wasn't that supposed to be a daycare?
Well, no, that's what they were. They were sending in for government assistance for that, but it's not
right. The company. Yeah. Yes. So the point is, so we're already paying these daycares. We could do it cheaper by just paying the parents directly to watch their kids. That's the next step. And the next step and the next step. And, she reminds me, anytime the government subsidizes things, I mean, it never seems to get cheaper. She even talked about how with homeschooling was actually a free market. It was one of the last free markets that actually existed. But you know what's happening now that all these homeschoolers in Arkansas, and by the way, I generally think that it's good to get your money back. But you know what's now happening now that all these homeschoolers are getting money, from the government to pay for their kids' education? Prices are going up. Piano lessons are going up. Because why? Well, because they have the money now. And so it's a fascinating conversation that I had, and I want to bring it to this audience because we talked about a lot of stuff as well, abolition of abortion and that sort of thing. But the AI situation with universal basic income, that's what they say is coming. And I don't know how to argue against universal basic income. I would love for the audience to inform me how, as somebody who's on the right, that thinks that the government giving you your salary is going to eventually eliminate the middle class, and we're all impoverished together with an elite oligarchy, and then all of us down here with no mobility, with our kill switches in our cars and our biometrics when you get in a car being submitted to a crime lab. How do you argue against UBI if there are no jobs? And I want an answer. But I don't have an answer for you other than, what are we doing here? This is going to lead to totalitarianism.
Yeah.
But if the AI comes first and the jobs go away, what are you going to have? You're going to have people like this. You're going to have people like this, and you're going to have people like this.
You're going to have the Hunger Games.
Yep, exactly. Exactly. I recently watched that show, by the way, and it was like, this is a lot closer than you think. Maybe not the whole deathmatch thing. Knock on wood.
And may the odds be ever in your favor.
Dude,
good luck. Now, we need to keep supporting trade schools. We need to keep supporting Mike Jobs' theory on what's really needed in our society. We need to keep supporting our local VOTEC schools. I've got a buddy that's a mechanics teacher, auto mechanics teacher at one of the local VOTEC schools, and he said that they are absolutely at max capacity and are about to have to start turning away students because people are starting to figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
And they're adjusting and they're compensating for that, and they're realizing I don't need to go to Fayetteville or wherever else and spend 4 years to get a degree when I could go to one of the trade schools, I could get my welding certificate or my plumber certificate or electrician's journeyman license and come out making close to $100,000 right out of the gates and work my way up and own my own company and own my own business. Like that to me is becoming like the American dream. It's not going to one of these elite 4-year colleges anymore and then sitting through a ridiculous graduation speech like that. Are you saying so that's the goal? No.
Yeah. Now the goal in college is to get the piece of paper and have to sit through a ceremony where they tell you your job's meaningless and you're going to worship AI. And you need to find a way. I can't believe he said that at the end. Find a way to say yes to AI.
Yeah.
It's absolutely nuts. All right, we're going to take a quick break and reset before we wrap up the show. This is the Paul Harrell Program. Don't go anywhere. Back here in just a moment.
For centuries, light has been used to heal. Awaken the body with Red 5.
The other things that we're seeing, more and more use for is even vascular issues. So one of the mechanisms that red light, near-infrared light, or Red 5 works is stimulation of the mitochondria and stimulation of nitric oxide production. So when nitric oxide is released in cells, it vasodilates cells. It reduces inflammation. It moves blood. It brings blood flow to areas. So folks that have issues with ulcers or burns or wounds, it can help stimulate increased blood supply, and you need blood to heal. So that can open up different avenues for peripheral artery disease, for neuropathic pain syndromes. And so that's one of the other areas for nerve injury or nerve pain that we can leverage this type of medicine.
This is our family dog, Bubba. He is a Shorty Jack Russell, and he brings a lot of love and laughter into our home. We just want to thank Pet Club for making healthy food and treats for our animals. Bubba has been on Pet Club food for a little over a year now. He really likes the Sequoia dry food, and then I put a scoop of the Sequoia wet dog food in there with some hot water and stir it up, and he absolutely loves it. And he likes the mush puppies, but his ultimate favorite is the antlers. Those keep him busy for a really long time, and he really likes them. It makes us feel really good that the food and treats that we give him have healthy ingredients in them because we want him to be around for a really long time. Our previous dog was a lab, and his name was Titus, and we fed him in bulk, and we would just get his food from the big box grocery stores. And unfortunately, that food wasn't very healthy for him, and he ended up getting cancer and passing away. So we didn't want to make that mistake with Bubba, so we were really fortunate to find Pet Club and find some really healthy food for him to eat. So we would just like to thank Pet Club, and we just really appreciate the healthy food that they make so we can keep this guy around as long as we can.
The Paul Harrell Program.
All right, so my apologies. I was looking at my screen. I was like, I feel like I'm out of content for today, and it's because I totally skipped the thumbnail of the show about Georgia. We all know that when you say Georgia election integrity, it's kind of a joke in conservative circles because of 2020 and Raffensperger, whatever, however you say his name. Raffensperger, that's what it is. So here is, this is from the Federalist. We'll throw this up there. Headline, Georgia Election Board barred from vote observation room, echoing 2020 obstruction by Mark Davis. Members of the Georgia State Election Board have been blocked from observing the compilation of vote totals in the state's primary election this week, according to State GOP Chairman Josh McCoon, who demanded Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger reverse the decision. McCoon called the denial of access to the election night reporting room outrageous and an unacceptable assault on transparency and a direct threat to the integrity of Georgia's elections. So there's that. By the way, I always want to say, I just want to call him Brad Ratzenberger, because there's a Ratzenberger who played Cliff on Cheers. You know the guy that played Cliff on Cheers? The actor's last name is Ratzenberger.
Oh yeah.
I drove him from the airport one time.
Oh yeah, I remember that story.
I picked no, that might have been the Herman Cain. I drove Herman Cain to the airport.
I remember that one too.
I picked Ratzenberger. I can't remember his first name. I picked Ratzenberger up from Memphis one time. Anyway, so yeah. Here's the Gateway Pundit. So here's the update on this story. The GOP senators now sue Ratzenberger, demanding poll watchers be allowed to the secretive bunker where statewide voters are being tallied. Transparency should not be controversial. State Senator Greg Dolezal and 2 fellow Republican candidates have filed an emergency lawsuit against Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, demanding a court order to let poll watchers and state election board observers into the infamous bunker. That's what it's known to in Georgia. Also, Lindell TV earlier today reporting breaking news out of Georgia. A Fulton County judge has officially ordered that Georgia state election board members be granted access to Brad Raffensperger's controversial secret bunker. So Emerald Robinson over at Lindell TV had that story. The order, signed by Judge Earl Glanville, was filed this morning and marks a major victory for election transparency advocates after months of backlash over the lockdown facility being hidden from board members, candidates, and the public. There should be equal. Now, how the heck do you, if you're Brad Raffensperger, this is another example of just being totally clueless. I mean, and honestly, it gives credence to the idea that the fraud is still ongoing because they haven't fixed anything. But if you're Brad Raffensperger and you, obviously, I think was caught red-handed, just nobody did anything, didn't want to investigate, just nothing to see here. Georgia went blue in 2020. Yeah, right. Give me a break. I'll take things that never happened for 1,000, Alex. And now you're still the Secretary of State, and you're doing secret election bunkers and not letting the election workers. I mean, how arrogant? At that point, it is just absolute pride and arrogance to continue to do something like that.
Yeah, I used the word audacity a while ago, and I mean, like the audacity of that at this point in 2026 to do that. That's interesting. Raffensperger.
Yep, Raffensperger.
Okay, got it.
Not Ratzenberger's the Cliff guy from Cheers.
Yeah,
and
I thought you were saying Raffensperger.
What did I say?
I think that's what you were saying, and I was saying it wrong in my head, and it's Raffensperger, right?
Yeah, Raffensperger. Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Or a lot of folks in the chat just call him Ratburger.
Yeah, that's Ratburger.
Yeah.
Or like we call Abigail Spamburger instead of Spanburger because, it's just, it looks like the same letter anyway. Just, you double up the end. Speaking of election fraud, John Solomon over at Just the News. So we've got people pleading guilty to election fraud. Despite evidence to the contrary, liberal voting activists have spent years minimizing cheating concerns and portraying those who want to investigate such problems as election deniers. But the Justice Department, FBI, and Homeland Security are now systematically exposing federal election fraud from non-citizen voting to ballot box stuffing schemes that are turning the table in epic fashion. The latest strike came Monday when a longtime voting activist in California reached a deal with federal prosecutors to admit to illegally paying homeless people to sign election petitions and paying people to register to vote in a 2-decade scheme that allegedly leveraged the Democrat-run state's lax mail-in voting system, which sends ballot forms to everyone whether they ask for them or not. So this lady pleads guilty. I've been paying homeless people to vote. And
O'Keefe exposed this too recently,
I believe
right?
so, yeah. And again, this is in California.
Yeah, he got it on camera. They were handing out money.
But to prove my point, to prove that this has been going on, this has not only gone on in blue states. It's gone on in red states, folks. And the red states have caught it and policed it. It's the blue states that have allowed it to continue. And I'll give you an example. In our home state of Arkansas, back in the day, a state representative from a predominantly black district named Hudson Hallam went around to West Memphis voters, and he was found guilty of giving...
I've heard of this.
Of giving black people vodka and fried chicken.
Yes.
In exchange for their vote.
Oh, God bless.
This is a post back in 2012. So red states have been policing this.
Yeah.
It's the blue states that have allowed it to continue. But this was just in a small little state representative district.
Cash, chicken dinners, and cheap vodka.
The bribery of absentee. And so this was with absentee voters. You know, the mail-in votes are the big problem, but this just goes to show you that any of the votes by mail are the problem. The bribery of absentee voters with cash, chicken dinners, and cheap vodka led to the resignations Wednesday of state representative and a West Memphis police officer, and left them and 2 East Arkansas community leaders with felony records. Guilty in election scheme for admit ballot swap for vodka and food. Now, the Arkansas Democrat Gazette here, you know, it's just really funny that, by the way, they say chicken dinners instead of fried chicken.
Yeah.
Because down here in Arkansas, we don't have any Kenny Rogers roasters, okay?
Kenny.
What's that light? We don't bribe
the red?
We don't bribe black voters in Arkansas with roasted chicken, okay?
Kenny Rogers roaster sign.
It just doesn't happen, obviously. So anyway,
remember when he switches with him for the night? Jerry comes in the room.
Yeah.
You don't know what it's like in there. All night long, things are creaking and cracking. That red light's permanent in my brain.
Yes. But anyway, the point is that this scheme has been going on, and in a state like Arkansas, it was caught in 2012. It was, by the way, Hudson Hallam was a Democrat, obviously, a white Democrat, you know, it's been going on for a long time, and it gets policed here. Not saying we've caught everybody, but it's been going on in California and other blue states like crazy, and this is how they win, because they cheat. And
cheaters.
And again, we highlighted, you know, this is a multi-party thing. You've got Brad Raffensperger and everything else that, you know, his record on 2020 is clear, and how he was essentially not willing to lift a finger to try to correct the obvious. It's obvious that Georgia went blue. Okay. We'd believe anything back then. The whole country was, you know, involved in the mass formation psychosis of COVID, and so many of us believed, oh yeah, Georgia can go blue now. It's like, yeah, okay, yeah, right. So anyway, that is that story. Let me know what you guys think about this.
Did they redistrict? I mean, will there be a change?
I don't think
in
until
things like.
I think
Can they get Ralph Warnock out of there?
Yeah, not until 20. It'll be good for 2028. I feel like they'll have redistricted for 2028. Lastly, we're going to leave you with this. We have time for this. This is people on MS Now. They don't like J.D. Vance referencing that, or Mike Johnson referencing that our rights come from God. This is how reference to God just totally stumps people on MSNBC.
What about this passage from Mike Johnson declaring that our rights do not derive from government? They come from you, our Creator, and Heavenly Father. Is this him putting God over the Declaration of Independence? McKay?
Well, you know, I actually think that idea is not wholly uncommon. I mean, the idea that we have certain inalienable rights.
Is this putting God over the Declaration of Independence? The Declaration of Independence recognizes God.
Ma'am?
Ma'am, this is a Wendy's. R.N. McIntyre writing, this is why it's so important for conservatives to understand the nature of the founding documents. Words on paper do nothing if the people don't believe them. Mike Johnson can quote the words of the Declaration, but they mean something entirely different to the MS Now host. So the question was so insanely dumb. Yeah. He's quoting the document. Oh, you're putting God over I'm quoting the document, ma'am.
Yeah.
This is how godless they are. It's a complete foreign language to these people on the East Coast and these news agencies. And that's why they think that we're lying about our faith, lying about our belief in God, just to oppress other people. They don't really believe that we are convicted or have a conscience at all, and it's really sad. So, I know that's all the time that we have for this edition of the show. Thanks so much for being with us, Eric Haynes. I appreciate you, sir.
So great to be part of the conversation,
folks. We'll see you tomorrow. God bless. I want to give a shout out to our sponsors: Red Vive Health, New Horizon Real Estate, Gateway Sight and Sound, Pet Club 24/7, and Sherwood Chiropractic. We'll see you tomorrow.